The Civil Nuclear Constabulary, CNC, Welsh, Heddlu Sifil Niwclear, is a special police force responsible for providing law enforcement and security at any relevant nuclear site and for security of nuclear materials in transit within the United Kingdom. 4. The force has over 1,500 police officers and support staff. 5. Officers within the force are authorised firearms officers, due to the nature of the industry the force protects. 6. The CNC was established on 1 April 2005. 7. Replacing the former Atomic Energy Authority Constabulary established in 1955. The CNC does not guard the United Kingdom's nuclear weapons. This role is the responsibility of the British Armed Forces and the Ministry of Defence Police. Role. The core role of the CNC is to provide armed policing and security for civil nuclear establishments and materials throughout the United Kingdom and to maintain a state of readiness against any possible attack on a licensed nuclear site. 8. 9. The CNC is established in Chapter 3, Sections 51 to 71, of the Energy Act 2004. 10. The Act sets up the Civil Nuclear Police Authority and the position of Chief Constable, defines the powers of members of the Constabulary, mandates that Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary must inspect the force and amends several other acts. It falls under the remit of the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy instead of the Home Office. The CNC's annual report for 2010 to 2011, page 15, states that the crime dealt with by officers at civil nuclear sites remains low in volume. The management and investigation of crime does not form any part of the Constabulary's mission statement. 11. Whilst the CNC are a police force, this acknowledgement would suggest the role of a CNC police officer is that of providing armed security, rather than primarily being concerned with law enforcement. This role is also evidenced in the number of arrests made by the force annually compared with a territorial police force of a similar number of police officers. In 2016, CNC officers made 24 arrests. 12. This compares to Dorset Police, a force with a similar number of officers who made 7,460 arrests annually in the latest annual figures. 13. During the year 2010 to 2011, the CNC made 12 arrests, 14, although 2 of those people were arrested at the scene, one when it was realized that the person was not wanted on warrant after all and another where it was decided that police action was not appropriate in relation to an alleged assault. From the 1st of October 2012 to the 31st of March 2019, the Chief Constable of the CNC was retired Brigadier Michael Griffiths. 15. The Deputy Chief Constable Simon Chesterman, formerly of Thames Valley Police, who is also the National Police Chiefs Council lead for firearms policing, took over as Chief Constable. The new temporary Deputy Chief Constable is Chris Armitt, formerly of Merseyside Police since 1989, who served 8 years in the Royal Engineers. The new temporary Assistant Chief Constable is Duncan Wursell, who has served with the force throughout his career. Previously he was North and Scotland Divisional Commander, Operational Unit Commander at Sellafield and Chief Firearms Instructor. Unlike the majority of the British Police Territorial Forces, all frontline CNC officers are routinely armed while carrying out duties. CNC officers also operate the armament on board the ships of the Pacific Nuclear Transport Limited, 16, a subsidiary of International Nuclear Services, which specialize in transporting spent nuclear fuel and reprocessed uranium on behalf of its ultimate parent, the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority. 17. Such ships have an onboard escort of armed police. 18. 19. The CNC is authorized to carry out covert intelligence operations against anti-nuclear protesters. In July 2009, Judge Christopher Rose said the CNC's approach to covert activity is conspicuously professional. He found that the system for storing the intelligence gained from informers was working well and that senior officers regard covert surveillance as a long-term requirement. Role. The core role of the CNC is to provide armed policing and security for civil nuclear establishments and materials throughout the United Kingdom and to maintain a state of readiness against any possible attack on a licensed nuclear site. 8. 9. The CNC is established in Chapter 3, Sections 51 to 71, of the Energy Act 2004. 10. The Act sets up the Civil Nuclear Police Authority and the position of Chief Constable, defines the powers of members of the Constabulary, mandates that Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary must inspect the force and amends several other acts. It falls under the remit of the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy instead of the Home Office.